Well, I can't believe it's the 52nd annual South Dakota Governor's Walleye Cup already. You know, when I started doing this thing, I think it was the 49th, which really wasn't that long ago, but it was long enough ago to know that 4 of them go by so fast. Dave Chapman's here with us tonight. Dave, how you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, real good.
Fabulous, fabulous. You know, let's get this out of the way because I'm really actually interested. You started a podcast.
Yep.
Get Whiskey and Walleye.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, everybody adds an S to Walter, so it's Chase and Walters. So do they say walleyes and whiskeys?
No, just whiskey and walleye.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So they don't get it wrong. They get it right. That's good. There's nothing wrong with an extra S, but but you're having fun doing it though, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, the big thing for me is, you know, I'm a student of this. I love learning from these guys that I have on the shore that are way better walleye fishermen than me.
Right.
So you know, I've definitely learned a lot, but also just seeing like their life stories and stuff is really cool, and how they got into it.
Right.
The success and stuff. So
well, and your approach, like a few others, is two-pronged. You're fishing it and you're interviewing those you're fishing against and with, and that kind of thing. So your perspective is different than mine, where I just fish. I'm not a tournament guy. I'm behind the scenes, behind the camera, that kind of thing. And
making all this happen.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and get to ask all these wonderful questions that just pop into my head. Right. So good, you know, good luck on the podcast. You know, we watch it all the time. We talk about it, and it's another piece to the walleye fanatic arsenal. Right. I mean, you when you're a walleye person, I was going to say a walleye guy, but we can't leave the gals out because there's so many of them anymore. Yeah. Now that it's fantastic, and I don't want to leave Ashley just out either, because so if I say guys and gals, that's truly what I mean. But we've been looking for so many different things in the walleye world. We had Al, right? Yep. You know, before AI, there was AL. There was Al. I mean, Al was it. And you know, you had Babe and you had Ron and you had others. And it's been nice to see guys that have come into it and have really given. Jason Mitchell, can't leave him out. Can't leave really Johnny Candle. I mean, there's so many of those guys that have been there for decades that we rely on. Then you get your Tom Bowleys.
I was just gonna say Tom.
And guys like that. There's a fellow that I always talk about, and people don't know him. I say Seth Burrell, and I think it's Seth Burrell, but he's the guy that lives out west, fishes the Columbia River, and he was the Tom Bowley in 2010, 11, 12, you know, that kind of thing. Yep. So now we're giving walleye fans just a heck of a lot more content, and good content too, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know, what I've noticed, and I'm 44 years old, but what I've noticed is the youth that's come into it, because of the modern technology, has really made it blow up. You know,
it's amazing.
It is. And the resources that are out there with YouTube, you know, the manufacturers being competitive and giving you different options when it comes to, you know, forward-facing sonar, it's made it just a lot more fun.
Yeah. What it's done, it's fostered a younger audience. It's fostered a younger competitiveness. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. I'm in radio, where they say kids don't listen to radio anymore. Well, they do, but we really didn't foster them as well as walleye fishing and Garmin have, right? We owe a lot to Garmin and to Humminbird and to Lowrance. There's no doubt about it, for all the technology. So with that technology, we look at 100 degrees day after day after day after day. Oxygen just disappears in shallow water, right? So the shallow water bite, probably really can't count on it. At least we've got deep water here. We won't have, you know, we're not going to have a problem with deep water or big fish. Yeah. But the typical jig and wrap thing has fish complacent. You know, what are your thoughts on that whole? You know, the typical jig and wrap bite just seems to have waned. It's just disappeared.
You know, so I came into this. You know, I've always fished for walleye, but I got real serious about it a couple years ago. Jigging wraps and hyper rattles were what we're using, basically just blind jigging on points on the river before we got into the forward-facing sonar. But what I've noticed is the jigging wraps just aren't as effective as they were.
Yep, there's something about it. I've done all these little tweaks. I've done everything, including bending that little the eye, right? So trying to get it to sit forward so that it just
swims
makes a different sound. I put a propeller on the back hook. I've done all kinds of things. Yep. And the fish don't care, you know, they absolutely don't care. So I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but something is going to have to get to these walleye
Well,
piss them
they just came out with the Jig and Wrap X, and
off.
we'll see how that works.
I think, and that's so the thing about that Rapple, the X series, they've got that bucktail on it, right?
Mhm.
And I think I maybe
fixed.
seen one picture of this new bait. And maybe that's going to be the thing. I've tried that too with BMC, with that little dangly silver thing. I don't know what they call it.
Yep.
And I have tried the feathers, the bucktail, and I've tried different things. But then again, I fish a whole lot different than guys who do it like you do for contests and for winning and for pro.
Well, the thing is, we fish a lot up north, the Akaska area and Swan, and we've been side to side with guys that are throwing. It's just never day by day. Something could be more effective than the other. So I know that, like, I've talked to a lot of people this week that are struggling with those things, but then you talk to the next guy and he's catching them on it. So
yeah, that's the thing. Someone's always catching them.
Yeah.
No matter what. I think the worst thing that could happen to us tomorrow at 7 a.m. or during the day, Saturday and Sunday, is 95 degrees with 0 wind.
Yeah.
And I don't look at the forecast anymore because we talk about the forecast and then tomorrow comes and it's different.
Sunday's supposed to be dead. But I think tomorrow is going to be 10, 11, which is just enough chop, I think, to make it where it's going to be okay. But if it was, 5 or less, like this morning, it was dead flat, and it was dead flat until it got hot. So that's going to make it a little more difficult to stay on them. And so.
And I'm guessing the program basically involves live scope or the live sonar. Do you think will you troll if you have to?
Yeah, I mean, it's fishing the Oahe, the Mobridge event. I went into it just so, like, blinders on. I'm going to live scope.
Right.
I'm not going to try anything else. In hindsight's 2020, and I went, I got to be a little more open-minded. So we're going to get a game plan together tonight and then figure out what we want to do, or just what puts us in the best position to compete. But trolling is not out of the question.
Yeah, maybe there's vanity in the live sonar. Who cares if you win the tournament with bouncers? Who cares if you win the tournament with cranks?
Nobody cares.
It doesn't have to be with a jig and wrap over trees.
There's no weight bonus or weight deduction for what you use.
Right.
But for me, it's not, and I think a lot of guys, I can maybe speak for a lot of guys, it's not about the vanity. I don't think, at least personally, it's more about what's funner, because watching a big fish come out of a tree or bust off a break, right? And come after it on the screen is a lot funner than, that rod's going. It's a lot funner. Yeah. So I think that's why you see a lot more guys going to that, and
there's an allure there. It's just something that, frankly, I'll never go back. I will never, ever, ever, ever fish without live sonar.
Yeah,
I will never not have a Garmin on under, and I don't care if I'm on the ice. It doesn't matter if I'm in a boat. I mean, it absolutely does not matter. So, Chuck, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Chuck Krause, he's one of the best guys on the river out here. He's competing. He's going to do the deal, but since 1979, that was your first year. Yeah. All right. Well,
no fish caught.
That's first year, 0. You guys got your money back. I wish I could remember the list. I sent a list to Al. He did. Yep, he did. Al sent me a list back, and I don't remember the list.
I was gonna wear I've got all my caps.
Yeah, you should have wore that.
I was gonna wear it tonight.
The 79 cap.
Yep. That would have been way too much fun.
Tied for first place with the magic marker.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
Good luck, Chuck. All right, Chuck Krause getting in on the deal here. That's fantastic. Yep. So anyway, just last thoughts on fishing the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people stay. Health is number one. I mean, if you're going to be in 100 and Sunday's looking like 103 in dead wind, it's going to be hot. So just hopefully there's no incidences with that. Otherwise, it's for fun, and we all take it I'm taking it pretty serious. It's my first Gov Cup, but at the end of the day, it's just coming back in one piece. And
there's big bucks and a win involved, so you got to take it serious.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping everybody stays healthy. That's it.
I agree with you. I'm glad that was pretty awesome. That's the first thing out of your mouth about that entire tournament this weekend, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah,
Dave
absolutely.
Chapman here, fishing the 52nd annual South Dakota Governor's Walleye Cup. The fishing crew, don't forget, take off at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and Sunday morning, and then we'll have the live weigh-in at 3 p.m. on Saturday and on Sunday, and you'll find that on the fishing crew on their Facebook page and YouTube page. We appreciate you. Stick around. We're talking to more people here next.